So, vitality. Today's class is looking at a really big topic, but it's something we're so familiar with that we probably don't need to. The whole reason of looking at this topic today is to understand on an experience level how it impacts on your life, and that is stress. Now, the interesting thing about stress has a lot to do with the sutra. When the pressure builds, start and it will be off. The pressure will be off. And what's important about that is stress is actually required in our life for us to act. We need that pressure building so that we can access our resources, so our glandular system and our adrenals can kick in. All those things can happen so that we can take the action that's needed. And that's healthy stress. And the whole idea of healthy stress is to get us out of the way so that we can come back into equilibrium. But the interesting thing is that a lot of us operate, well, not just us, our society is almost catered to be always adding the pressure, to always be responding, and not ever coming back to that point of equilibrium. And that's probably why stress has such a bad rap, because we don't know how to manage it. You know, we don't understand the implications. We know it's not good for us, but we don't really understand that. And I'm a blessing of having a partner with a chronic illness is that you see firsthand what stress does. And I had a massive, I'm getting really emotional at this, a massive realization at the stress and vitality level too, because Guru Das was talking about the physiological impacts that happen on your body and on your health when you're in stress. And these things are meant to happen to trigger what needs to happen when you come back. And as he was reading it, he was describing my partner's condition to a T. So many people out there live in this constant stressed level, and it's not necessarily because of anything external. It's like their body has become wired, and it's how they operate that way. And it makes us very sick. And so the whole blessing of working with stress is to realize that a healthy relationship is needed with it. And that's very personal. So the amount of stress that I can handle on certain levels is higher to the stress that my partner can handle. But when it comes to emotional stress, I'm not very good with that, because my makeup is light, my makeup is innocent, I am very vulnerable, and I know that innocence and vulnerability are a blessing, they're a gift. But because I'm this vibrant, open, receptive person, if I have too much emotional stress, it impacts on my makeup. Yet other people can deal with that a lot better. So this is what today's class is about, you having the space and the time to sit with what is beneficial for you in regards to stress. So we look at things called stressors, and stressors are external experiences that add pressure to our allostatic load. Allostatic load is, the best way of describing it is, you know the whole frog theory. If you put a frog, poor little things, in water and then you bring it to boil, they do not realize and they'll actually die. That is our allostatic load. Okay, we have this pressure level that is optimum for us to operate at. And the energy, like that sutra says, the energy builds to that pressure point and then we act and the pressure subsides. What happens is that that load can keep building if we do not do daily practices of breathing, of walking, of eating healthy, of taking time out, of meditating, of doing our yoga practice, whatever it is that allows us to come back to that point of balance. And so this load keeps building and building and building and building, and then to all of a sudden something really unexpected will happen and you will just explode and you won't know why. And it's not necessarily a verbal thing. That's why people have breakdowns over stuff that they can't understand. Why am I having an emotional breakdown over this? Because it's not over that. It's over all the other stuff that we've put on top and haven't addressed. And so these are all the little stresses in our life. Okay, like example, driving to this mall. You can do it and you're fine with it, but you know that that takes time out of you. Same with you. You know that you love your job, but you know that too much time in the air impacts on your body. It creates stress within. But the things that you love to do. So the stresses where you can measure stresses on a polarity, on a spectrum, and you have to weigh up if this stress is creating the momentum to get things done and is feeding your ability to be motivated in life, or whether it's tipping you over and adding too much pressure into your day. And if there's something you love, if it's something you have to do, but it's starting to slip into that negative aspect, it's not about having to give that thing up. It's about going, what other stresses, what other things can I introduce to my life that's going to bring that allostatic load down? So it's like this push-pull instead of build, 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 explode. It's like this motion. And a perfect example for me is with my own personal practice. I do intense things sometimes. My next little one, Anita's just walked in at the perfect time. My next little one is I'm going to do 108 rounds of Japshi, which I've worked out with my one version will take me 36 hours straight. What? Yes, what? So I planted that seed to
So what is that?
the morning prayer, Japshi.
What are you doing?
108 hours, 108 versions, rounds. 36 hours. 36 hours straight. Wake up 4 o'clock one morning and we'll go to probably around 5:30 the next day. No stop.
When are you doing this and can I come?
I don't know. Yes, please. Don't know. See, this is what I'm saying about my practice. I just go and do intense things. I'll do fasts. I'll do things that fill my body because that's a massive reset for my allostatic load. But in regards to my daily practice, I've always been someone that the time on my mat is precious. It has to support me, it has to fill me, it has to shift and change the things that need to shift and change in my life. So sometimes it's not pleasant, but it's always supportive. When at this level 2 training, most people said that their daily practice added negative stress in their life, because they had to fit it in, they felt obligated to, or whatever it was. And that really spun me out, because it's so potent when we're working with stress and alleviating stress that we have those tools that remain our tools for self-healing, self-nourishing and self-fulfilling, fulfillment of the self. And we have so much stress out there. We have so much pressure out there that having that time inwards is really valuable, and you want to honour that. And yes, it's not always nice. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you don't want to wake up and do the exact same career again, because you know what your body's going to do, you know where your mind's going to take you because it took you there yesterday, but you keep up and you keep going because that's honouring the self. And that's helping build up the resilience, because resilience is also really important when working with this allostatic code. So just remember that, especially when you are given careers, because that's the whole idea of the private sessions, is you get a daily practice. And you don't want to approach daily practices with, I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do this every day for the next 20 days regardless. And you can, and there's a lot of yoga teachers out there that do, and that's almost, it's really enforced when you become a yoga teacher, and through your trainings, it's really enforced that sadhana is everything and you hold it. Yes, daily practice is everything, and your growth and your expansion is everything, but how you approach that should not create extra pressure and stress within your day. Because why do it? Why wake up and stress yourself for 2 hours on your mat when you're going to a really stressful job? If you can wake up for an hour and really enjoy your time on the mat and really center yourself and come back to your equilibrium and then go to a stressful job, that's balancing the negative and the positive stresses, because it is still stressful to have to wake up early in the morning and get on your mat, regardless if you're an early morning person or not, especially in winter. The alarm goes off at 4:30 and it's stressful, or 5, it's stressful, but it's a good stress because it's awakening you. But on the days when you're sick, or the days that you're exhausted because you worked really big days the day before, big hours the day before, maybe it's not 4:30, maybe it's 5:30. Maybe it's
8:30?
8. If 8:30 is you, it's you. If you're night shifting,
I'm a shift worker, it has to
exactly.
I wake up, I have my coffee in the morning, and I sit down and I have a few moments, and that's my son.
That's your
some
son.
days, because it's like caring for dad and this and that.
Yeah, and welcome to the life of spirituality. Because you know what your sadhana is, and you're at peace with that, and some mornings it becomes longer. And that's why my 1,000-day sadhana was just 3 minutes ego eradicator, because I could do 3 minutes every morning before leaving this house, regardless of how I was feeling, regardless of how late the family got up, regardless if Liz was about to miss the bus. I could still fit 3 minutes in.
I just do my mala.
There you
every
go.
morning.
You got your sadhana.
Yeah.
You've got your, and
I
that's,
really enjoyed that.
yeah, and that is understanding how making the space, sometimes it's stressful to fit that in, but it's about making the space so that you can keep that balance point and stop that water boiling. And that's all that really stress management is. So, especially with you, with your shifts and the place and you're flying, it's not like it would take a lot of stress to be able to do your practices in an airport, and not an airport, in a hotel room before you're going to hop on a plane and fly for 8 hours. You can't necessarily do 2 hours before you do that, because you might have only had 4 hours, 5 hours sleep. So that's why it's important to come from here, not from what's being told, not even what's being told from me. And that's also because of how I was taught in Guru Das as well. You know, you morph it so it works for you to sustain you and hold you and keep you solid in honouring yourself. So let's do that. Considering we're combining like the 2 classes into one today, so resting your hands on your knees, palms facing up. Roll the eyes up and into the 3rd eye chakra. And just dropping into the body. Now take a moment to do like a flash list. Flash quickly through your mind everything that is creating stress in your life right now. Go, 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 go. Download it. Quick. And notice the sensations in the body. How they shift, how they change. Maybe there may be more tension forming in your face from this. Maybe the back of the shoulders become tight, the neck might be a bit achy or painy. It could be a building up of the pressure in the head. The hips may become achy. What about the belly? What happens within the stomach? As you continue to list all the things, repeating the list of where the stress is in your life, observe. Don't become the list. Don't become the games that the mind does in relationship to those stresses, but observe the impact, the pressure that it is having within the body. And this is very important to observe because these are our points of reminder. These are our warning cues. When the lump in the throat is building, when the mind is racing and you cannot stop thinking about what you should be doing, when you are completely exhausted on the couch in an emotional blur because you just can't keep up with the demands, whatever it is, when those things occur, these senses are there to go, that pressure is overloaded. Take some time. Have a few more breaths, really diving into those sensations. Once you have an awareness of them, you're going to come into a point of stillness. So rubbing your hands together, nice and strongly, press palm to palm firmly, thumbs in the middle of the chest, really activate the prayer mudra because this neutralizes the brain. It is one of the quickest and simpler ways to reduce the pressure. Then inhale, suspend the breath, observe. Observe the shift within the sensory body. And then exhale. And then allow the waves of the Om Namo to resonate through your being, taking away the sensations of stress so that you can drop into a sacred place of honoring throughout this class. Inhale fully. Exhale completely. And inhale to chant. Exhale, then inhale as the intention is set. Suspend the breath. May I allow the stillness, the peace, the calmness, and the contentment to take preference over the pressure during times when the intensity requires coming back to the place of equilibrium. May this happen more than ever before for the benefit of all. And exhale, then inhale and seal it in with 3 rounds of Adhikariname. Adhikariname, Chikadhikariname, Safkariname, Silgurudeviname, Adhikariname, Chikadhikariname, Safkariname, Silgurudeviname, Adhikariname, Chikadhikariname, Safkariname, Silgurudeviname. Inhale, keep your hands in prayer position, reaching them all the way up to place of spirit. And then exhale, sweep either side of the body, palms facing up, placing the back of the hands on the earth.